Hello everyone, I'm Silver. It's Tuesday, the 5th of July. I hope that everyone from the United States actually had a wonderful 4th of July. And for those from Canada, I actually had a wonderful Canada Day this past Friday. I've actually had a pretty good week. Been hanging out with my grandparents, my parents, and siblings over the past couple of days. It's been pretty fun. Actually had a party for my brother's 30th birthday, and he actually did fly out from California just for this weekend. So since he is planning on leaving on Thursday, I'm actually planning on spending as much time as I possibly can with him, especially possibly even later today. Well, let's move on to current works in progress. I'm actually working on the Blurred Line Socks by Megan Williams, the one that I'm working in I guess that's why they call it the blues, colorway by Lollipop Yarns on the Beefcake base. So far, so good. I am currently just past the heel on the second sock, and I do have a deadline at the end of the week, so I'm trying to finish that up as quick as I possibly can. I am also working on a pair of socks for someone who is also going to get the toe-up socks of the difference, the one by Wendy D. Johnson in the Sunset Stripes, which is Patton's Croy. Both of these, like I mentioned, I do want to finish these and have these given to the recipients by Friday. The Crazy Sock Day winners have been asking about them, so I want to get that done and taken care of. The third thing I'm working on, I am going to call This Red is Knitting Up Like Butter. It is the Color Affection by Vera Maki. It is being made out of 3 different colors, the Butter Peeps, the Lipstick Lava, and Miami Red in the Dream & Color Smushy. I'm working on a US2, which is a 2.5mm needles. They are 60-inch circulars, the red lace needles that I have by Chigo. The fourth thing that I'm working on, I am calling Mad as a Progressive Hair. It is actually the Progression Shawl, once again by Karen of Brown the Twist podcast, out of the Mad Hatter colorway of Yowza by Miss Bats, on size US 7s, which are my Susan base needles that I'm using. The fifth project that I am currently working on, I'll actually just be talking about a little bit later, and you'll see why. Yes, folks, I've actually spent a little bit of time in the frog pond this week. I have been making a baby hoodie for a coworker. The pattern is called Baby Hoodie by Hannah Garcia. I'm making it on US size 7. Now 16-inch circulars, and it is out of the Baja Beach colorway by Stitch Studio. It's the Sunrise base. See, I've had so many problems with this project this week. It's hard to explain how many problems, but it's been in timeout for the past couple days because I got it as far as a certain point, and I just was getting so frustrated, so I decided to put it aside before I threw it across the room. I'm going to be honest, I've tried to knit the pattern as is. Something just didn't get translated as well as it should have. I know that the pattern designer did try to submit this to Knitty and wasn't sure if they had picked it up. If it hadn't been, I can actually kind of see why. The way it's written is actually pretty confusing, and it looks like one long paragraph, which is just not how my brain works in the first place. And then when you go and try to translate it literally into the yarn that I've been using, it either didn't look right, or I look like I have a fin coming out of the back of the back panel there. So I did rip everything back. It sat in a pile of yarn for a couple of days while it relaxed a little bit, and I just went back to it. Now I'm actually knitting it in the round as one piece, and then since I've done that, I've actually re-engineered it so that it makes sense to me, and now I actually have it back to the sleeves. So long story made short, I am continuing on the project even though it's still frustrating me to no end. I'm looking at it right now and I still want to throw it but I'm going to do it because that's exactly what my coworker wanted for her grandniece. So. All right. Well, I do have some happy news for Stash Dash 2016. My total yardage is actually 4,749 yards. That is about 4,342 meters. I have to tell you, I have been really lackadaisical about adding things to the Stash Dash FO thread on the Knit Girls site, so I did manage and go ahead and I did do that this week, so that's always good. I noticed it had been about a month. So this week I did finish my Milo number 1 for this coworker. I did the 3-month-old size of the Milo. I actually finished it in 3 days. It actually took longer to block and dry than for me to do the garment. It is absolutely stunning. I'll have to put pictures right there. So for this week, I do want to mention 4 different projects that I'm planning on doing for the future. I do have a second Milo. I do want to finish the Drunken Watermelon shawl that I finished a little while ago. That's the Yowza Weight shawl number 1. I'm about halfway done, I think, now. I hope to finish that relatively soon. I need the yardage, unfortunately. I'm falling down on my goal a little bit, trying to get all the other things done. The third thing that I would like to go ahead and do is I want to finish up the Mother's Day shawl KAL that I finished, especially before the start of the summer KAL, which is about 10 days away right now. And I just realized that I kind of think that it's only right to finish 1 KAL before I start, but let me just see if that happens, right? The fourth thing that I do eventually want to get to as well would also be the Yowza Weight shawls number 3 and 4. Hopefully, relatively soon. They are next in my queue on Ravelry, so if I keep it in my queue, it's going to happen, right? Well, let's see. I do have a bit of enabling this week, actually. I bought 2 sock blanks from Gail's Art. One literally looks like a watermelon scarf, and the other one is actually like tonals and blues, and it has the word love stenciled on it. They both look amazing and awesome. I cannot wait to get started with either one of them. Oh wait, I did. I cast down the watermelon one actually within several minutes of opening the package from Gail directly. And so for that, I'm going to be making another toe-up sock with a difference by Wendy D. Johnson on the watermelon one. At the moment, I have a little bit of a toe and a little bit of foot. So far so good. Once I did get past the curling of the yarn itself, once you pull it from the blank, the knit actually went by much faster. It does seem a little bit cushier material, but I just absolutely love the fabric that I'm getting from it, and I cannot wait to get further and further into the blank. I'll give you a little bit more of an update as I go by. So, what you watching, Silver? Well, based on the fact that I've been out and about to family visits and parties and things like that, not much, but I still managed to get some watching and some some binge watching in, if you want to be more specific. I have watched at least a season of Glee. I did watch the entire last season of Downton Abbey. Finally, it is Edith's turn. That's all I'm going to say about that one. If you haven't watched this series, I do suggest you catch up and do that. I won't give that away. I won't give away the secret sauce, so to speak. The third thing that I've actually been watching is Doctor Who, actually the 9th Doctor, and I cannot wait to get back to it. I'm about 5 or 6 episodes in now, and there's a few guest stars that have premiered so far that Oh, we can recognize one hat was in Downton Abbey. It kind of made my heart sore. I've also caught up with a few podcasts, the Knit Girls and Around the Twist. I have to say, I am very, very jealous, and I'm not going to SSK this year, but that's another story for another time. So, what you reading, Silver? Well, I did finish Song of Susanna, which is the Dark Tower series number 6 by Stephen King. The story is absolutely gorgeous, and I loved listening to it, combined with even the new reader did the story justice and made a little bit more flair onto the story than I would expect. So I'm just so glad of that. I am currently reading 3 books. The first is the next book in the Dark Tower series. It's simply called The Dark Tower. This is obviously also by Stephen King. So let's see. I also read Dead Ice, which is number 24 in the Anita Blake Vampire Hunter series by Laurel K. Hamilton. The story so far is pretty amazing. There's a little bit of drama going on right now, but that's pretty typical. We'll see how it gets resolved, and I cannot wait to find out how it gets resolved. It's one of those series where you know there's going to be a little conflict, but you know that there's going to be everything tied up in a neat little bow by the end of it. So can't wait. All right, and the last thing that I'm reading is called Yarn Harlot, Confessions of a Knitter by Stephanie Pearl McPhee. Unbelievable storyline so far. I just wish I had more time this week to read more into it. It's a relatively short read, and she's hysterical. I want to get back to it so much. This week I do have a new category that I'm calling my favorite things. It was recently called my obsessions. The word obsession kind of has different connotations, so I wanted to get away from that. But anyway, for this week, one of my favorite things, during my visit with her on Sunday, the grandmother that actually taught me to knit was asking me knitting questions. Fancy that. Although the one real question she had was about a weird lace stitch neither she nor I have ever actually even heard of. And now I think for the life of me, I can't even seem to remember what it was. So even if I wanted to ask y'all for help, I couldn't. I'm sorry. Anyway, I think I actually have her looking through YouTube videos for help as well now. Here's something I should mention. If you ever have issues with any designer's pattern, you may need to direct message them to see if there are any questions that they can clear up, especially about the pattern. They wrote it so they know exactly what they mean. If they didn't necessarily translate it well into the pattern or something that you're just not understanding, definitely let them know. They'll be very willing to help out. The other thing I do suggest is if you have any further problems, you can always go ahead on Ravelry if you're a member. Do a search for the pattern, see any project notes that people have made. Maybe they have the same problems and they were able to smooth them out on their own. Well, listen to me. On my soapbox. Now, if only I can take my own advice. As always, you can find me on the show's Ravelry board, which is Silver's Dreamland Podcast. I am SilverLuna2112 there on Ravelry. On Instagram, I am both Silver's Treats and Silver's Dreamland. On Twitter, I am at Silver's Knitting. I also do tend to read through all my messages as soon as I possibly can. However, if you do not hear from me within 24 hours, please feel free to email me directly at silversdreamland@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. So, I'm going to actually leave you with a quote from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it. This is a lesson we all need to remember, especially around holidays and birthdays. Remember to take time and appreciate and spend time with all of your loved ones. The time passes so quickly. Oh yeah, speaking of time passing quickly, my baby brother turns 30 on Thursday. Happy birthday, Tim. I know you don't watch the podcast, but I still wanted to say it anyway. Until next time, everyone. Bye. The third thing I've actually been working on, I'm calling This Red is Knitting Up Like Butter. It is going to be the pattern which is called Color Affection by Vera Ma. The third thing that I'm actually working on, I'm calling This Red is Knitting Up Like Butter. It's going to be a Color Affection by Vera Maki. Wow, okay. The third thing that I'm working on is a project I'm calling This Red is Knitting Up Like Butter. It is going to be a Color Affection by Vera Maki. Maki, what is so hard about that? Holy cow. Okay, let me just finish this row because apparently I can't do two things at once. Really wish I could. Okay, so the third thing that I'm actually working on is a project I'm calling This Red is Knitting Up Like Butter. It's a Color Affection by Vera Maki. What the hell? So the third thing that I'm working on, I'm going to be calling This Red is Knitting Up Like Butter. It is the Color Affection by Vera Maki. Vakimelli? Holy fucking balls! The third thing that I'm working on, I'm calling This Red is Knitting Up Like Butter. It is the Color Affection by Vera Maki. Why? I didn't pronounce it there. Take whatever. And I'm also working on the third thing that I'm actually working on, I'm calling This Red is Knitting Up Like Butter. It's going to be the Color Affection by Vera Maki. Why? The third thing that I'm working on, I am going to call This Red is The third thing that I'm actually working on, I am going to be calling This Red is Knitting Up Like Butter. It is the Color Affection by Vera Maki. Why am I? The pattern is called the Color Affection. Okay, so the third thing that I'm working on is called. The third thing I'm going to be. The third thing that I'm working on, I am calling This Red is Knitting Up Like Butter. I'm going to be making the third thing I'm actually working on, I'm calling This Red is Knitting Up Like Butter. It is the Color Affection by Vera Maki. So the third thing I'm working on is called This Red is Knitting Up Like Butter. It is the Color Affection by Vera Maki. I should just say that slow. The third thing I'm working on, I am going to call This Red is Knitting Up Like Butter. It is the Color Affection by Vera Maki.